Hello, fellow stargazers. Bryan Colter here, Evolutionary Astrologer, for your horoscope report for the upcoming Cancer new moon that happens on July 9th. And although that's the exact day of the event, really, I'll be talking about the astrological weather for the first couple weeks of July. So starting with Moon in Cancer. Moon loves being in Cancer because it's said that Moon rules this sign. And whenever a planet's in its own sign, it's at maximum power. So Moon, the Great Mother, really emphasized here. Moon represents our internal world, our heart, our soul, our feelings, ultimately self-nurturing qualities and drives and motivations. Ditto for Cancer. Cancer is known as the healer archetype. Okay? And it's also connected to our subjective reality. All the water signs are. So all water signs are innately emotional. So Moon, the Great Mother, is sitting before us all right now, saying, come here, sit in my lap. What do you need? This is a time of taking care of ourselves and protecting ourselves. And then step number 2 would be extending that nurturing quality or protection out to other beings. And this is the part of the path for anybody who has strong Moon in their chart or strong Cancer energy in their chart. They're natural healers. Okay, and they'll often be in healing professions like a doctor, or massage therapist, or something like this, or other healing professions like a gardener, or they're healing the land, or a cook, putting their healing energy in the food that helps to nurture and comfort those around them. Okay, or even artists can be healers. So we'll see some beautiful artists as Cancers who also have strong artistic themes in their chart. Okay, who are moving other people to tears by something beautiful that they created. But part of their cosmic job description on this planet is to pass out band-aids, and some of those are emotional band-aids too. Okay, so we all need tender, loving care sometimes, especially now in this chaotic world we live in. Need a little TLC. And if we don't get any TLC, eventually, especially during tough times, the heart begins to harden as we become braced for one damn thing after another. And then our heart begins to calcify and shuts down a little bit. So, Moon in its own sign during this new moon, which by the way is about new beginnings on some level. What new beginnings can I take in my life, okay, and make in my life that has self-nurturing qualities associated with it? And it's also helpful to know where this new moon is happening in your own personal chart, because it's happening in the sky at 18 degrees of Cancer. So it's helpful for you to know where 18 degrees of Cancer is in your birth chart and see what house it's in, because that will help you to further understand where this TLC needs to apply in your life. Let's say the new moon's happening in your 4th house. Okay, 4th house is known as the house of home, sometimes a literal home, or the house of family. So your TLC is like a bubble bath, at home, safe, connected with those you love, beautiful dinner, stuff like this. Or the new moon's happening in the 7th house of marriage and intimacy. You need some healing in your relationships. Okay? Or maybe it's happening in the 5th house, the 5th house of joy and pleasure. And it's very important for you to have a good time. Find things that you really enjoy, that open up your heart. And you can take this in so many different directions. If you want to know how to read where the houses are in your chart, I do offer a tutorial video on my website. Okay, I'll put a link to it above if you're interested. So it is helpful to know where it lands in your own chart, because it can give you some more insight. Now, to totally understand the music of the spheres, we got to figure out the other big events that are happening right now too, along with this moon being in its own sign. So the two whoppers right now, the headliners of 2021, is the Saturn-Uranus square. I've been talking about it in every video. We'll continue to, because it's so big. Equally as big, haven't been talking about it as much, but I need to today, is the Pluto-Eris square. I'll talk about them in a second, but let's just understand these are both very long events. Saturn-Uranus square is about 1.5 or 2 years. It depends on the astrologer you ask or talk to. Depends on how we calculate them and what degree orbs we use. The Pluto-Eris square is about 3 years or so. Again, give or take 6 months on either side. So 1.5 year event, broadly speaking, a 3-year event happening at the same time. And I love to focus on these longer events because this is where the most growth and change occurs. Also, they tend to be more challenging times as well. And we go through growing pains as well because we're growing so rapidly. But they're big, big events. And even though they happen such a long time, the energy that they represent isn't like even, it's spiky. And the top of the spikes is where there's other events that are triggering it. And right now we have both these big events being triggered by the trigger point planets, which are the so-called personal planets that orbit closer to the sun, like Mercury, Venus, and Mars, for example. And Mars is the king of all the trigger planets because it's the war god, the planet of action and fire, very dynamic energy. And right now Mars is currently squaring Uranus and opposing Saturn, forming what's called a T-square, really activating that Uranus-Saturn square, through the trigger planet. And coinciding with that, we have this new moon, Sun and Moon in Cancer, opposite the Pluto and square the Eris. So we're hitting the top of the spike on both of these events. So July is going to be colorful. There's a lot of fireworks in the sky. As above, so below. There's going to be a lot of fireworks here. And there was quite literally fireworks in the U.S. on July 4th, as really Mars was coming near exact to this T-square with Saturn-Uranus. So very activated. And just as a quick recap, Saturn-Uranus is the friction between the idea of revolution and restriction, freedom versus control. I've been talking about it a lot, but that's the main theme. And I'll say some more things about that square, but I really want to get to this Pluto-Eris square. Because Eris was discovered back in 2003 or 2005, something like that. And whenever a planet or planetoid is discovered, its archetypal field we're really felt as a collective. We're really feeling it because we're trying to integrate the archetypal meaning, evolutionary path of that planet. And when we're trying to integrate it, the extremes of that planet are really accentuated during that time. And this extreme is really activated, especially now. I know it was discovered back in 2005, and we've definitely seen Eris's signature since then, which I'll describe that in a second. But especially now, because it's strengthened by this other big event, this whopper, Saturn-Uranus, Meanwhile, Pluto, the planet of extremity, it's the planet of transformation, so it brings the extremes out of any sign it's in or any planets it's interacting with. So ultimately, we can go through the death and rebirth sequence and transform whatever that is. So the planet of extremity squaring Eris as it's been recently discovered, and we're trying to integrate it. And the extremes are coming out more. And my teacher, I saw a video on this recently. He called this the age of Eris, and he thinks that the astrologers of the future, looking back at this time, will call this time the age of Eris. Is he right? I don't know. And he also argues that this is the 10th planet. And it's just a couple of quick technical points about it. It's a little bit smaller than Pluto, but like a quarter more massive, meaning it's heavier. It's a lot denser. So it has a lot more weight than Pluto. And Eris it's pretty small, but it's about 2/3 the size of our moon. And it will actually enter closer to Sun's orbit than Pluto in about 800 years or so. And this is a slow mover. It has like a 550-year cycle or something like that. And I'll also point out it's in the process of stationing right now, and whenever a planet's stationed, it's really strong. I forgot to mention that too, further bringing out the extremes. So to understand the meaning of Eris, we want to talk about the myth associated with Eris. Now, Eris is actually a Greek god. Most of the planets are Roman gods, but this is a Greek god. And the Roman equivalent to Eris would be Discordia, which is kind of a cool name, and is not far from the feeling of Eris. But the story about Eris is, the three goddesses, Hera, Helena, and Aphrodite or something like that, they're all invited to this big wedding. But Eris wasn't invited because she has this reputation of being a troublemaker. So she was shunned. She wasn't invited to the party. And she was very angry about this. And she was jealous, and she wanted revenge. So she threw in a golden apple into the party to shake things up. And the golden apple said, to the most beautiful one, or the fairest of you all, or something like this. And these three goddesses fought over the golden apple. They all wanted the golden apple because they all thought they were the most beautiful. And they had to decide what they were going to do about this. So they called in Paris of Sparta and said, okay, you choose who gets the apple. And one of the goddesses said, oh, if you give me the apple, I'll give you infinite wisdom. And the other goddess said, oh, if you give me the apple, I'll give you political power. And I think it was Aphrodite said, if you give me the apple, I'll give you the most beautiful woman in the world, which was Helena of Troy. You know. And of course, Paris chose the most beautiful woman, and we all know where that went. He basically, the consequence of that action was his city was destroyed in retribution for him taking, Helen of Troy. Okay, so kind of a horrible story, obviously. But underneath the mayhem and the chaos, it's the theme of competition, the dark side of competition, the extreme side of Eris, the troublemaker. And the darkest forms of competition leading to destruction. And of course, we're seeing that just run rampant, And a lot of people think that, we are running ourselves into the ground. And I've even said on some of my videos, I feel like we're in a race between enlightenment and extinction. Which will it be? Nobody knows. The choice is ours. As a collective, as we co-create divinity in this dense dimension of reality known as planet Earth. Okay, so that's the dark side of Eris, which I don't need to give too many examples. It's so obvious. And of course, we're also seeing the dark side of competition really coming out in this Saturn-Uranus square, revolution versus restriction. Okay, driving these two different motivations further and further apart from each other. Okay, as they're competing against each other. And the farther they grow apart, the more they fall into the trap, the Maya, the illusion of separateness, polarity consciousness, when of course reality is unity consciousness. We all come from the same place. We're all one. Very spiritual concept. And even for spiritual folks out there, we can understand that philosophically and conceptually. Oh yeah, we're all one, We come from the same place. We just forget. But to actually live that and breathe that and know that and allow that knowing to be so deep within you that you allow it to inform every single thought, emotion, action, desire, everything, that they're all one, that everything I even think and feel affects the collective. We would act very differently if we actually lived through that philosophy. So, the dark side of the competition driving us further apart. We're all separate. We're fighting each other. The dark side of Saturn, control. Because Saturn's the law of karma. It's connected to habits of the past, artifacts of the past, which are starting to crumble as the god of earthquakes and lightning bolts, Uranus, is disrupting the energy of Saturn, the energy of the old. Uranus is disrupting to bring in the energy of the new, as we're trying to evolve into a new Earth, into a new human future. Uranus is about evolution, and it's in the sign of Taurus, which is the sign of nature, the sign of Earth. And I haven't talked a whole lot about Uranus being in Taurus, so now's a good time, It evolves whatever sign it's in. It shakes it up so that you can raise our relationship to Taurus to a higher level. So it's going to shake up the Earth, quite literally, probably. I mean, I don't know that for certain, but I would imagine Uranus headed through Taurus, the seismic activity raises, although I haven't double-checked that, okay? Evolution in agriculture, in the environment. So, it's an earth sign, so it deals with everything practical and tangible. It's also the Taurus is the sign of money. Are we feeling a lot of disruptions in our money systems? Sure. Will that continue? Sure. The volatility of the markets being very dramatic during Uranus. But ultimately, it's about innovation of technology. In terms of currency and money, one of the most obvious examples of Uranus and Taurus is cryptocurrency. Now, disclaimer here, full disclosure rather, I don't have any cryptocurrency, so I'm not here to promote it. Actually, I'm a little bit scared of it. But why is that? Because just with my own eyeballs, observing how How Bitcoin, for example, has gone over the last years since it was, when was it invented? Like 2010 or something like that. It's very volatile. Looks like a heartbeat monitor, And that is an utterly Uranian signature. Because as we're trying to evolve into something new, and I'm not saying crypto is we're evolving into that, okay? It could just be a stepping stone. I don't know. But as we evolve into a whole new level of being, okay, with certain things, in this case, Taurus things, it tends to be very shaky. For example, Elon Musk, when he was trying to put rockets up into space, how many of them blew up? Many of them. Did he have a shaky, process of getting up into the sky? Hell yeah. I think he said once in an interview that he was down to his last rocket before bankruptcy, and then the last launch worked for him. Or you take it back a century, Wright brothers' first flight. You think those wings, as they were first getting off the ground, first flight, think they were a little bit shaky? Yeah. So there is instability associated with Uranus. Of course, crypto has fallen into that trap of the Uranian instability because it's trying to raise into something new. And of course, crypto is quite literally technology, which is Uranus's domain. Now, if you talk to or listen to some of these guys that are into, and ladies who are into cryptocurrency, some of them think it's like the second coming of Christ. I mean, I'm exaggerating here, but they think it's going to be like the savior of humanity, because their belief is, the word they use over and over and over again, is decentralized. The money system is decentralized. And I love that. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, that's a cool word. Centralization, Saturn; decentralization, Uranus, is one way you could put it, And I had to look exactly what that meant. So I went to my personal library, being my computer, Google or whatever search engine, looked it up, and, centralized organizations is, kind of like one guy at the top making all the decisions, okay, controlling everything. Whereas decentralized organizations, the decision-making process is spread throughout the organization. So this cryptocurrency is decentralized, meaning the bankers at the top don't have control of everything. Also, there's what's called a public ledger, where everybody can access and know everything that's going on in terms of transactions and all that. So there's transparency, okay? And they think it can evolve us out of the fiat currency, which is the major source of control on the planet by the powerful elite. That's what they believe. Now, is crypto the end-all be-all solution to all our problems? Probably not, although, I'm open-minded to exploring it. Again, I don't think I'll invest in it, but it's interesting. When I think of crypto, it's the most obvious example of, one of them anyways, of Uranus through Taurus. So the centralization versus decentralization, the powerful elite versus the all. Okay, so we need more of an even spread of the decision-making within the collective than just the ones at the top. So how can we leverage Eris in a more beneficial and less destructive way than the dark side of competition driving us further apart? Well, the higher, more collaborative expression of competition is competing against each other so we can increase innovation. That's the high-end expression. So it can propel us to a whole new level. Like we need a new space race, for example, and that doesn't need to be taken literally, but the space race is when the U.S. was competing against Russia to get to the moon first, And again, it doesn't have to literally be connected to space, although it can include that. It'd be interesting to see that again. But we can also compete against each other to really bring us into this Aquarian age, this technological age, which is, Uranus and Aquarius. Uranus rules Aquarius. So here we are getting driven further apart for the dark side of competition, which is leading us to almost near destruction. We innovate, we work together, we compete against each other, but we have a similar goals towards existing in a more collaborative, collective way, which is also connected to Uranus and Aquarius, okay, which deals with humanitarian influences, working together, teamwork, organizations, decentralization, okay, so that we raise up through innovation, and then eventually, instead of being driven further apart, we'll actually come together, kind of like a triangle there. So that's really the big picture sort of evolutionary trend here. But it's so dramatic between these two events, so much tension. The tension has risen to a considerable degree, especially this month, through the two trigger point planets really activating both the squares in a big way right now. Meanwhile, we're trying to harness some of this Cancerian energy. It's like, oh, I need to take care of myself. Stuff's pretty crazy right now, self-nurturing, self-protection, protection of others. Okay? The other side of the dark side of Cancer I hinted at before. Cancer is archetypally known as the crab. And crabs are sensitive creatures. People who are Cancerian or carrying the crab so strong in their chart, they're very sensitive. That's just the nature of a healer. They're very empathic. The dark side of Cancer, at least one of them, is that they can lead too shy of a life. They can hide inside the shell of a crab. Life's pretty scary now, but hiding inside the shell of the crab isn't going to help you too much. You got to develop a more open, courageous attitude towards life. Hence, Mars in the mix, activating the T-square. Mars, the war god. Okay, it's about facing your fears and evoking courage. It's also helpful to know where Mars is transiting through your chart right now in Leo. Okay, because wherever house it's in your chart is saying, this is where I can be more assertive. This is where I can build more courage and I can face my fears. Okay, so don't hide inside the shell of the crab. Okay, be proactively engaged in taking care of yourself and others. Stock up on food. Okay, start growing a garden, whatever it is. Take care of those you love, and deepen your connections to family type connections, because these are the people you can really rely on if the shit hits the fan. I'm not saying it will, but the energy is charged right now. So it's like, how can I get some TLC right now? Okay. Mars is also in Leo, the sign of vulnerability through self-expression. How can I speak up about what I believe in not a self-righteous way? That's the key with Mars and Leo. We don't want to fall into the trap of self-righteousness. Oh, I know it all, coming from that egoic place. And then when people don't like what we have to say, we get more reactive. Okay. So it is about learning to be more vulnerability through self-expression. Okay. It's like, what do you have to say about nurturing yourself, nurturing others that you find very important amidst the chaos of polarity consciousness and the competition of ideas right now? Okay. But put it out there, and if nobody likes what you have to say, don't be stoic, move on to the next person, because there are other people out there that will benefit from the motivated by healing sort of words and actions that you have, and for some of us, it takes courage to put it out there. But as long as you don't get caught up in the emotional reactivity potential with Cancer, you'll be okay, So heal thyself, heal others. Protector qualities is really activated here too, because Mars, the god of war, warriors and healers, that's what they have in common, is protection. And connecting with those you love and focusing on the qualities of the home and the inner world so you can self-nurture amidst the chaos so the heart doesn't harden, and we can do our own small part to raise our consciousness to be more likely to manifest the higher octave expression of what's potential for us in the human future. And that's the core evolutionary intention, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Well, that was the astrology. As usual, I'm going to transition now into the guided meditation. And if you'd like to enjoy this meditation, I recommend wearing headphones because I use a technology called binaural beats. Enjoy. Sit in a nice, comfortable position with a straight spine, and feel as though you have a little string attached to the top of your head, and there's a gentle pulling on that string. So it gives you that nice straight neck alignment and spine alignment. This is the main energy channel of the body, so it's very important this is straight. And begin by just focusing on your breath. And feel your body expand as you inhale deep into your belly. And then exhale nice and slow. Deep, rhythmic, comfortable breathing. And this is a little bit harder, but see if you can feel the beat of your heart. That gentle pulsation, the pulse of life. And connect with your heartbeat as you continue to breathe deeply and evenly. The purpose of this meditation is to focus on self-care and the healing of the main energy centers of your body, of your physical body, of your emotional body, and of your thought body, and balance all three of those out using visualization. Now I want you to imagine that you're in both of your feet. And what do your feet feel like? What are the sensations in your feet? And start to visualize the color white, snow white color, in and around both of your feet. And on the next inhale, see that white color go up through your ankles. Feel as though you're in your ankles as you visualize this color. And as you inhale again, see the snow white color raise up into your calf muscles and lower legs. And see both of your lower legs down to your feet completely shining with that bright white color. And on your next inhale, see that white color go up into your knees. Feel you're in your knees now. And as you inhale again, see that snow white color go up into both thighs. And as you inhale again, you see the white color go up into your hips. And now visualize this snow white color in and around both of your legs at the same time. And as you inhale again, see that white color glow as brightly as you can make it glow. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. Now I want you to focus in the center of your stomach, in your abdomen area. All the way from the solar plexus to below the belly button. In the middle of your abdomen, visualize a beautiful sky blue nebula starting to shine from the center of your stomach. This is the main energy center or furnace of the physical body. And as you visualize this sky blue color, you feel the calming sensation that this color brings about. And as you inhale, make that sky blue nebula as bright as you can. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And again, inhale, see it glow even brighter. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And continue this visualization for a few more breaths, and then I'll come back. And now say to yourself in your mind, I want perfect health in my physical body. Now as you inhale, see your attention go up into the center of your chest and visualize a rosy, white, pinkish color in the center of your chest, in and around your chest, almost the size of a bowling ball. And again, as you inhale, you see that pink color grow brighter and brighter. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. Now, as you continue to visualize this color growing brighter, I want you to also start to feel feelings of self-love and self-care, honoring yourself, feeling compassion and gratitude for yourself and how you're doing in your journey. This is the emotional center of the body. And as you focus on the center, you feel all your emotions and desires continue to relax as you see the color grow brighter and as you feel self-love, honoring how much you've grown in this lifetime and how far you've come. And again, inhale and see that pink color grow as bright as you can. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And continue this visualization for a little bit more. Now say to yourself in your mind, I want perfect health in my emotional body. And as you inhale, raise your focus up into your neck and thyroid area. And visualize a beautiful orange nebula forming in your thyroid area. And it's about the size of your fist, and it has the same color as the fruit of the orange. And you see this orange nebula grow brighter with each inhale, and as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And this center has a very positive effect on the circulatory system of the body, especially the blood flow. Again, as you inhale, you see this orange color grow as bright as you can. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And continue this visualization for a bit more. Now, as you inhale, see your attention rise up into the center of your head. Envision a canary yellow nebula forming in the center of your head. shining brightly in all directions. And the more you do this, the more you feel your ordinary thoughts silence. All you're thinking is creative thoughts now. Your mental intentions relax more and more. And this yellow nebula is shining as brightly as the noonday sun in and around your head, again about the size of a bowling ball. And as you inhale, see this color grow as bright as you can. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And continue this visualization for a bit more. And say to yourself in your mind, I want perfect health in my mental body. Now turn your attention to